Hey there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com. First of all, and for you guys, I have to be completely honest here. I was having technical difficulties right up until the moment that we joined, so I'm a little bit scattered. So we'll just take a moment to take a breath and connect and be here with you today. So, first of all, again, I'm Erin Lee of Heavenly Messenger, and this is Connection with Intention. I'm so incredibly grateful that you are joining me today. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way, and I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here. So, we've got a couple of things that are going on and happening right now. First of all, I'm just going to throw the banner up here. Please feel free to pop on and say hi and hello. But if you could leave your questions for a moment, that will give everybody an opportunity to join in and to ask questions, and it feels a little more fair that way to give everybody an opportunity. So there were a couple of things again that I wanted to share. First of all, pop over to Universal Connections, both on Facebook and on YouTube and on our website, universalconnections.ca. This past weekend on Sunday, Bobby and I were live. We had a lot of fun doing readings. We are going to be connecting again to do some pre-recorded questions where we share some videos with you. We're still figuring out like the overall balance that we're doing for videos and stuff moving forward, but we definitely enjoy connecting with you guys live. This coming week, it's not going to line up for our schedules to connect on Sunday live, so we're going to do some pre-recorded questions. So keep an eye out for that post where we're asking what kind of questions do you guys have that you want Bobby and I to talk about. I know that we've got some really fun and exciting topics coming up, and I can hardly wait to share them with you. The next thing I wanted to talk about was Happy International Women's Day. To everybody who was born biologically female, everybody who identifies as female, Happy International Women's Day. I'm so incredibly grateful to share this time and this space with you. And I had a couple of half-formed ideas about what I wanted to talk about today. And one of the biggest things that was coming up for me was actually around trust. And for a lot of us women, trust is something that we have a difficult time doing. And trusting ourselves can be something that's really difficult to do, whether it's because we've been told that we shouldn't trust ourselves, or whether, we've gone through experiences or relationships where we're like, how on earth did this happen? And so trust is one of those big things that has been coming up in the energy lately. How do I trust myself? How do I learn to trust my intuition? And so one of the biggest things that has come up with that question is forgiveness. So the first thing that we need to do is to offer forgiveness to ourselves. And the reason for that is usually when we come to a point where we are questioning whether or not we can trust ourselves, it's because we've been in a situation or a relationship that hasn't been healthy. And it's like, how did I get into this place? What allowed me to trust whatever was happening outside of me? How do I reconcile with that and allow myself to trust myself moving forward? And so, one of the biggest things that we need to do is forgiveness, because likely at some point in that situation, there was something inside of us that was telling us that this wasn't okay. And for whatever reason, whether it was that we didn't want to, or there was a lot of pressure from outside of us that was telling us that we needed to stay, there was something that was likely telling us this wasn't okay, and we didn't allow ourselves to trust that. And so the first thing we need to do is offer ourselves forgiveness for not being able to trust ourselves in the first place, and for whatever it was that we did that um, allowed us to ignore that. And what we need to do is to reconnect with that energy of ourselves and say, hey, you know what? I'm really sorry that I didn't trust you. I'm really sorry that when the red flags were there, I didn't listen. Or I'm really sorry that I didn't feel that I had the capacity to make those choices and to make those changes. I offer myself forgiveness for what I have gone through, for the things that have brought me to this point. Because until we are able to forgive ourselves for that, it can be really difficult to learn to trust ourselves again. And so there needs to be a recognition that this happened, and that at that point and in that time and that space, that was for some reason the best that we could do. I really love Maya Angelou's saying, we do the best. Hold on. I'm going to mess this up. So I'm actually going to grab it because I have it. I have it here. We do the best that we can with the resources we have. Nope. That's what I say. Yes. Do the best. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, you do better. And I think that's really important, is to give ourselves the grace to recognize that sometimes we don't know what's best. And we can't go back and we can't change it, but we can recognize that at that point we did the best that we could. But now we know better, and so we're going to do better. And that can help to start us to establish that trust again. And in building and establishing that trust, we can start looking for different ways that we can prove that trust to ourselves again. And trust is built not in the great, big, huge gestures, but in the small day-to-day gestures. And I use this particular example when it comes to learning more about your intuition and coming into a place when you're trusting your intuition. When you're starting off to learning about your intuition and learning to trust it, you don't want to start off with the really big choices and decisions. You don't want to, use the trying on a decision exercise that I share on my website. You don't want to start off using that, asking whether or not you should move across the country. That's a really good one to start with, deciding what you're going to have for dinner that evening. So start off small. Don't expect that trust is going to be something that you are able to build and create with yourself right away. And look for different ways and different opportunities to start connecting in small, meaningful ways. Build that groundwork and that foundation, and the healing will happen, and you will be able to learn to trust yourself again. You will be able to learn to trust your intuition, because in learning to trust your intuition in those small things, it will be really easy to recognize it when it's the big things, when it's the things that matter, when it's the things that are those big life-changing things. So start small, forgive yourself, and that's how you start trusting yourself. All right. I see that we've had lots of people popping on this evening. We'll go through, we'll say a quick hello, and then I'm going to put up the choose your own what is it called? Oh, this does not bode well for the rest of the evening, you guys. My brain is not functioning properly. Where we put up the crystals and you choose a crystal for your question. That's what we're doing. Please join me in some laughter tonight, guys. So saying a hello to Margaret. It's always wonderful to see you. Cassandra, I'm so glad you made it on this evening. Hello, Brenda and Lisa and Ashley and Josie. Hi. Shelly and Brenda and JC. We have Kelly and Becky and Catherine and Valerie and Carrie. We have Claudia, and I think that's another Valerie, Angie, another Carrie, Lisa, Ann, Nicole, Tamra, Brianne. Hello, everybody. It's such a pleasure connecting with you. Thanks so much for joining me. We'll take this down. You guys are welcome to start asking your questions. There we go. You're welcome to start asking your questions. If you would like me to use a particular card deck, please mention it with your question, because I won't see it in a comment underneath. And that's also to ask the whole question in a single comment, because I don't see when you add, like when you reply to your comment, it comes up in the order that they are received. So if you can get it all in one comment, that's great. The options that we have here this evening, we have the blue deck, which is the mermaids and dolphins. We have the yellow deck, which are the Archangel Oracle cards, and we have the green deck, which is the messages from your angels. All right, so this is for everybody. What we're going to do this evening is I'll ask you to choose a crystal to represent the question that you are asking. So, what we'll do is we'll take a moment and think about a question. And once you have that question in your mind, take a full deep breath and ask which crystal best represents the question that you are asking. And I've probably misspoken here because the crystals are just to represent the card that we are choosing. If you are familiar with crystals, you may recognize that all of these are actually interconnected. We have citrine, ametrine, and amethyst. So amethyst and citrine actually have the same chemical components. And when they formed at different temperatures, with the citrine forming at a hotter temperature. This particular citrine here, I suspect, is amethyst that has been heated because typically, naturally, it's not quite that dark. So we have citrine on the one hand and amethyst on the other hand, and sometimes the two of them form together, and we have amethyst and citrine all in the same crystal, and that's what the ametrine crystal is. So you are more than welcome to choose more than one crystal for different questions, or if you have multiple questions. Sometimes people have a hard time deciding, which question they should ask, or they're wanting to choose a crystal. The question that you ask may be as simple as, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to focus on right now? What will bring me healing right now? All right, so we're going to choose a card for each of the different crystals that we have here. I've got one card for citrine, and we've got one card here for ametrine, and I have a card, we have a card here for amethyst. All right, so if you chose citrine, I'm just going to pull this down so that you guys can see the cards. So if you chose amethyst, yes. If you chose the amethyst card, the card that we have here for you is Waves of Prosperity. New abundance and exciting opportunities wash over you now. This is a fabulous card to come up for you. First of all, the energy of amethyst. I didn't think we were going to talk about the crystals, but we are. The energy of amethyst is all about raising your energy and vibration. It's a wonderful detoxification crystal. In fact, that is one of the ways in which it was used centuries ago, was as a detoxificant, particularly if a person was inebriated. So if they'd had a little too much to drink, amethyst was the stone in the crystal that was commonly used for that. Combining that with waves of prosperity, there is something that you are ready to clear out, to remove, to let go of, and doing that will help to invite in new opportunities, potentially new prosperities. Now, I like to see prosperity as lots of different things. Typically, we focus on prosperity as having to do with financial abundance and material wealth. But I also see prosperity as being abundant in love, and being abundant in health, being abundant in opportunities, and just being abundant and prosperous in all different ways. And so when this card comes up, it's saying that there are lots of opportunities that are available to you. But in order to really access those opportunities, take a look and see if there's anything that you need to release, to remove from your life, or to look at from a different perspective. One of the things that pops up for me is it's really easy to become caught up in the same life plans, or the same life plans. I mean, that's true, but the same ideas over and over and over again. And if you find yourself going into old patterns and old habits, I would encourage you to take a look at what it is that's cycling around there, because there's likely something that you're needing to release. And particularly if you're aware of it and you're noticing it, it's likely something that's needing to be addressed. So what do I need to focus on in order to release it so that I can invite in these opportunities? The next card that we had was the ametrine card, and this is gentleness. This is Archangel Sandalphon, and his message is: be very gentle with yourself at this time. Surround yourself with gentle people, situations, and environments. So the encouragement here is to really support yourself, to offer yourself love, and compassion. And this might be a time where you're wanting to look at the expectations that you have of yourself. Possibly you're in a place where you don't have the typical energy that you usually have in order to meet all of the responsibilities and the pressures that you put upon yourself. Now might be a time to look at focusing merely on the things that are the most important, the things that most need to be done, and move some of that stuff off of your plate. This is a time to be really loving and supportive and compassionate with yourself. Archangel Sandalphon helps us and supports us in delivering our prayers up to God, Source, Universe, whatever your belief system may be, putting your prayers out there. And whenever Archangel Sandalphon comes through, he always brings the message that your prayers have been heard. Now look for how they are being answered for you. If you are feeling that you don't have the time, the space, or the resources to be gentle with yourself, call on Archangel Sandalphon and ask him for help and support in creating that space for you so that you can be gentle. This is a time to nurture and nourish yourself. And this may be also a time to look at circumstances and situations that you're in and look for the opportunity or where you can be gentle with yourself and other people who are involved. This really feels like it's a time to recognize that everybody is doing the best that they can with the resources that we have. And we don't always have the resources that we usually have in order to cope with the things that are happening around us. So be as gentle and compassionate with yourself and with others as you can. And the last card that we have here, this was for people who chose the Citrine, is the Isaiah card. It is a good time to give birth to new ideas and situations in your life. I am watching over you, guiding and protecting you during these changes. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Citrine here because Citrine is one of those crystals that helps to clear the path, to remove things, to release things. And it's actually one of the few crystals that never needs to be recharged. It is constantly clearing and cleaning. And, I'm noticing that we've got a similar theme coming through with a couple of these cards that we have coming up. And what Citrine is saying is that we are clearing the path because there are new things that are coming in. There are new opportunities that are happening. So clear the way. This is a time to really start nourishing and nurturing the thoughts and the ideas and the plans that you have. It's a great time for planting seeds and for tending those seeds. So this is not the time to let go of plans or to let go of ideas. I mean, if they are no longer feeling like they serve you, absolutely let them go, clear them out so something new can come in. But if you still have passion and you're energized about like the thoughts and the ideas and the plans that you have, now is the time to really nourish them and nurture them because they're about to come to fruition. There is the opportunity for fresh starts and for new beginnings to happen if you only allow yourself to step through. Know that there is a lot of help and support that's coming up around you for making these new connections, for making these new opportunities happen and come together, and just keep going the course. All right, so let's see. We've got some questions that have come up. Where are we here? So I'll just carry on down. Oh, you guys are awesome. I love it when you tell me which crystals you've chosen. So we've got, lots of people choosing amethyst and citrine, and fabulous. So hello to Jessica. We've got Cassandra and Nicole and Carrie. I just want to make sure that I've said hello to everybody who's with us live today. Awesome. You guys are so amazing. Okay, so let's go to the questions. Happy Tuesday to you too, Cassandra. I'm so glad that you were able to join us today. Let me see. So we've got Ashley here. Hi, Ashley. Thanks for joining in. Ashley saying, hi, Erin. Hope you are well. I am. Thank you. Asking for guidance and advice on how to help my kids right now and protect my own mental health in the process. Absolutely. So one of the things that's actually coming up for you is focusing on you first only because it feels like there's a lot that is in your head. I'm feeling a lot of heaviness that's coming up around like your heart. And I'm feeling a lot of weight and a lot of burden. So I'm wanting to encourage you to do some self care things that really focus on your health and well being. And I'm seeing things that feel like they are relatively simple, like a sea salt bath or getting out into nature. I'm seeing talking with a friend as well is feeling really helpful and important to just get it out and get it off of your chest, because it feels like there's a lot that you're carrying. And what I suspect is that your kids are in part picking up on the stuff that's going on for you too. So as you take care of you, you're also helping and supporting them as well. And I am seeing including them in some of the self care rituals that you have, and possibly creating some family healthcare, self care, healthcare rituals. And it feels like part of what you're doing is, for example, I'm seeing a lot of energy that's coming up around your kids. It feels like there's a lot that's needing to be expended, and I'm kind of wanting to encourage you guys to get outside to run off some of the energy. And so I'm seeing you focusing it and reframing it as, okay, well, let's go for a self care walk. And it feels like you're able to go to a forested area. And possibly one of the things that you're doing is focusing on finding a piece of nature that will help you to hold and to transmute part of what you're feeling. So, for example, if one of your kids is let's say feeling and experiencing a lot of anxiety, and maybe there's a situation in particular that they're experiencing anxiety around. Maybe one of the goals for your walk that you're on is to find something in nature that will hold and support that anxious feeling that you're then able to give back to nature to transmute. So maybe it is a stick that you're drawn to or that they're drawn to, and they carry this stick for part of the walk. And possibly one of the things that you do is you talk about what's happening, or ask them to think about the things or the circumstances or the situations that are making them anxious. Sometimes people don't want to talk, but they just want to think about things. And then ask, partway through the walk, how are you feeling? Are you still holding on to that experience of anxiety? If you are, then we'll keep walking. But if not, maybe there's a place where we can put this down and ask nature to transmute it. So basically taking what you are feeling and experiencing in yourself, giving it over to nature, and asking that Mother Earth transmute it for us. It can be a really powerful way to set intentions for time together, for the walk, and can also provide them with either opportunity to talk with you if that's part of what they're needing, or opportunity to let go in other ways. I've got a lot of creativity that's coming up as well. So I'm kind of wanting to encourage some creative pursuits for you and for your kids. And I'm also seeing doing things with other people. So I hope that you have friends who have kids who are close by, where maybe you guys can go out and do these similar things, where the kids can like run off and burn off some energy, and where you and your friend are able to have some quality time too. But, I go back to the initial and the original messages that were coming up for you. And that was to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, because one, that makes a really big difference for your energy, and your kids pick up on that. And two, it puts you in a better place to be able to support them as well. Okay, I don't see. Yeah, you didn't ask for a specific card, so I'm using the Archangel Oracle cards, and we're just going to ask, what does Ashley need to know? And the card that we have here is the Teaching and Learning card. This is Archangel Zadkiel, and his message is keep an open mind and learn new ideas, then teach these ideas to others. And I can't think of actually a better card to like wrap up everything that we've just talked about. All of the self-care things that you are doing for yourself are things that I'm seeing you being able to share with your kids, and that these are the tools and the resources that they're needing to learn in order to cope and deal with the stuff that they've got going on in their lives. So what you are learning to do for yourself is what they're learning to do, or what you're able to teach them to do for themselves too. So we talked about like the walking and giving off some of the energy or some of the concerns that they may be having. But if they're into taking baths, oh, why don't we make a self-care bath for you? And we'll do with the sea salts, because the sea salt helps to release energies. And if you guys are into essential oils and they want to choose some scents, then that can be something that's really supportive too. So take a look at the things that you do for yourself for self-care and see how they can be reframed for your kids to help and support them moving forward too. Ashley, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your kids too. All right. We've got Shelly here. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for joining us. Shelly's asking, do the angels have any guidance for me on how to release some anger, past hurts that are manifesting in pain as pain in my physical body? I am stumped as to what more to do. And she says, any card deck is fine. Okay. So Shelly, let's take a look and see what we've got going on. Um, So what I'm wanting to focus on is actually going into the physical places in your body. And for me, this is coming up less in organs, say, but more in like a muscular way. That's how I'm experiencing it in my body. I'm feeling a lot of tension actually right in this area here. Sorry, we didn't realize it was going to be a strip show this evening, guys. It's just a little something extra for you. But it feels like it's coming in this area right here. And I'm wanting to focus on like some stretching and some opening that's coming up in those areas. But that what you're doing on top of that is you are setting the intentions as you're going into these the stretching practices that I'm seeing you doing. And so I'm seeing you coming into like the feeling and the experience of the anger and past hurts. And I'm seeing you specifically inviting them one by one into your stretching or your yoga practices. And it feels like you're creating the space and saying, all right, this is what we're dealing with and what we're working with today. And you're going to sit and see, okay, how am I feeling this in my body? Where am I feeling this in my body? What do I need to release? And that as you move into different stretches and into different poses and postures where those areas are being targeted, it feels like you are breathing into them and breathing that pain out. It feels like the whole practice is really focusing and revolving around that. And then I know that you're going to enjoy this message. And then I'm seeing you journaling about it after. I've spoken with Shelly a couple of times before, and the journaling message has come up a couple of times before. And so that's why I say I know how much she's going to enjoy and appreciate that message coming through. So I am seeing you journaling and I'm seeing you writing, and it feels like it is getting out. The other thing that I'm seeing is it feels like there's something that keeps swirling around, and I'm seeing it around and around and around and around. And what that's telling me is that there is likely something that's kind of on repeat in your energy, in your mind, in your emotions. And what I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to find a part of it, to stop it, to lift it up, and to look at what it is. And so, again, this feels like this is a process that you are going through where you are recognizing when it's happening, and that you are looking at it and saying, okay, well, this is the way that it is. What is it that keeps getting you going around and around and around and around? And now that we recognize that, this is no longer an option. It feels like there's probably some more fine tuning that needs to be done with that, but it feels like that's what you're starting with. And often when I see this message for people, it's like you're like picking it up and out of yourself, and it's like you're holding a cat or a puppy by the scruff of its neck, and you're kind of looking at it. So you're like picking it up, you're holding it, you're looking at it. In this way, it's different from a cat or a puppy because like this is not something that's cute, but you're taking it and you're looking it straight on in the face. What is this, and why am I allowing it, or why has it been allowed and to fester like this? And that's no longer what I'm doing. So it feels like those are that last one, as I said, it's going to need to be fine tuned. And it also feels like there is some cutting and some severing that is happening as well. So one of the things you can do is you can work with Archangel Michael. You can ask him to help cords and to sever cords so that you're no longer focusing on those things and they're no longer allowed to stay in your energy. Let's take a look, Shelley, and see what messages do the angels have for you about releasing the emotion and the anger from your physical body. So the card that we have coming up for you here is the Clairaudience card. And this is Archangel Zadkiel, and his message is notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. So Clairaudience is one of the 4 primary ways that we receive intuitive messages and information. It literally means clear hearing, and it can focus on, receiving messages around, from like God, source, universe, angels, from intuition, from deceased loved ones. But what I'm hearing is paying attention to the music that you're listening to, and pay attention to the way that you are talking to yourself and responding to yourself. And also that part of what you are releasing feels like it is something that you have absorbed from an auditory manner. So either that, there was an argument or unkind words being spoken that are somehow trapped. It feels like words and sounds are a significant part. And so actually on top of that, I'm also hearing chanting, humming, and really paying attention to the music and the vibration and the energy that you have around you while you are doing any of your healing practices. Shelley, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Okay. And Brenda says she still needs to make an appointment with me from winning a reading. Absolutely. That was actually one of the things that I was going to say. For anybody who won a reading with me, earlier this year, at the end of the year, as when we were coming up with the name for this show, please, I believe those certificates are valid until the end of March. So please hop onto my website, bookingwitherin.com, use your coupon code and book an appointment. I definitely want to connect with you. Awesome. And Josie says, this is so sweet. Hi, Erin. Thank you for your time. Love, support, and hugs. Josie, thank you. I'm sending big love, support, and hugs back your way. I always love connecting with you. Kelly, we've got Kelly here. Hi, Kelly. Thanks for joining us. Oh, Kelly. Yes. Okay, Kelly, I am going to send you an email. And the reason for that is, one, I know that I have fallen down on my emails recently and that there's an email waiting for me from you. And we don't do mediumship on the show. But I knew Kelly's mom, I would like to say fairly well. So we're going to break the rules here, Kelly, because she's coming through really strongly. So your mom is definitely around. She's holding your face between her hands and she's stroking your hair back and she's looking at you, and she shows me that she sees you for who you are. She shows me that she sees you for all of the wonderful, beautiful, amazing things, aspects of you, for who you are. And she shows me that, with the love of a mother, she sees the ways in which you are working to improve and to better and to heal. And she's showing me that there is a lot of love that is coming through for you. She's showing me ducks. I'm not exactly sure why she's showing me ducks, but she's showing me little ducks, and she's showing me them being, there we go. She's showing me that they're all coming into a row. So there's a sense of everything kind of wobbling back and forth, and that they are all just kind of coming into a row. And so what I want to say to that is she's showing me that you have things that are coming into alignment, that are all coming into a row, and that she's helping and supporting you in doing that. She has crossed over. She crossed over very quickly and very easily, is what she's saying. So it feels like, I want to say, once a decision was made, it was very quick and it was very easy for her. And she keeps going back to this feeling of decision, like that there was a decision that was made. And I'm seeing a lot of gratitude coming through for that, because it doesn't feel like it was a decision that she was able to make, but that it was something that was made on her behalf, and that it allowed her peace. Um, and she's showing me a lot of gratitude, and that the pain just completely left, that she crossed over very, very, very quickly, and she wants you to know that she is at peace, that she loves you, that she cares about you. And she's showing me that everything, all of the ducks are coming into alignment, they're coming into a row. She's saying that there are things that you are going to need to do too. She says that she's not able to do all of it, but she's able to do a good portion, and she's able to kind of help get things going. Because what I'm seeing is that in this lineup of ducks that are all in a row, there are two at the end who are really out of line, and they're really you're both of you are really having a hard time getting them to work together. So you're going to need to work together to get this last little bit. It's like boom, 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 everything's together, and then something's kind of wobbly on the back end. so, so she's saying that you need to unwobble your back end and and bring things together. And if there is one thing that your mom had, she had a great sense of humor. So I can see her really laughing. I can hear her laughing as she is saying this. So she's showing me that it's all about bringing that wobbly back end into alignment, and then things carry forward. And it feels like there's almost like a bit of drag. Like when everything is in order, things run smoothly and there isn't a lot of resistance. But with this back end being wobbly and kind of like this, it's holding things back. And she's saying that those are the things that you need to focus on to bring those into alignment. Um, and I'm hearing the word ruthless, that you're needing to be ruthless about something. This feels, I don't think that's quite the right word. I don't think that's what she's meaning necessarily, but there's a sense of, you just, something needs to be cut and addressed. And that's just all there is to it. And that once that happens, everything is in a row and things start to become a lot easier, but it will be dependent upon the actions that you take. We're going to go to the archangels, and we're just going to ask, what does Kelly need to know right now? And what message is her mom sharing? The card that we have here is the Angel Therapy card, and this is Archangel Raphael. And I don't think I could think of a better card to come out for you today, Kelly. Give your cares and worries to us angels and allow us to take your burdens. So, Archangel Raphael helps and supports us in healing, particularly on a physical level, but I mean, he helps us with healing on emotional levels as well. And so what she's saying is that there is love, there's support, there's healing that is all around you, to breathe, to open yourself, and to allow yourself to move forward, to carry forward. And she's showing me that there is huge amounts of love. She's holding your hand, she's holding your face, she's brushing back, and she's looking at you in the way that only a mother can, with love. And she's showing me feelings of it being unconditional, and it's almost like it's almost like lenses being taken away. When you go to the eye doctor and they have the thing in front of you and they put the lenses down, and A or B or 8 or 9, everything is being peeled off, peeled away. And so she's seeing things without any pain, without any boundaries, without any barriers. She's seeing everything from a place of love, and she wants you to know that she loves you. Kelly, it was a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And we'll ask your mom to be really clear in the messages that she has for you, so that you're able to experience her being around you as well. But know that there was love, that she's helping you get the ducks in a row, but that you'll need to do some work too. Awesome. Let me see. So Okay, so we've got Josie here. Hi, Josie. Thanks for joining us. Josie says, I'm deeply concerned about the funds that are needed to start our son's build. Can you help with a reading, please? Absolutely. So let's take a look and see what's coming up around your son's build. So I've actually got funds coming through from at least two different sources. And then I've got so it actually feels like it's three. So part of it, it feels like it's money that is like off to the side, has already been earmarked for that. And it feels like this is money that is already in his possession or is, you know, accessible. Like it feels like it's ready. So I am seeing partly that. I'm also seeing other money that is coming in. And I don't know if this almost feels like it's a grant or something kind of along those lines where money is coming in. I don't even know what to describe it as. Like, I don't know if this is like first time home buyers or what it is, but it feels like it's coming out of some sort of program where this is specifically what the program is intended to do. And I am seeing a bit of a delay that's coming on money that's coming in from this perspective. And I've got another revenue stream that's coming in as well. This one feels like it's slightly less anticipated and possibly what you are questioning. And when I ask about this, it's what I'm seeing is like a dam where there are several different points where like the dam has been put into place, but I am seeing like the lifting of each of those dams in time, and it feels like there are three or four different aspects to that. So um I'm going to call this some form of red tape that is being cut through, that there are different layers that are being cut through. And it feels to me like two and a portion of the four that I see overall have already been addressed with. And it looks like you're cutting through like that third one. So there's just one more that is left. And this one is feeling a little bit trickier. Josie, I'm seeing you going right around this. There is It's almost like this one's been set up to stop something, and I'm seeing that there's a way around it. So I'm wanting to talk to somebody who has some knowledge and experience. And I don't know if this is like a financial advisor or if this is like a mortgage planner or if this is somebody else entirely, but it does feel like there's somebody who is able to help you navigate it. And the sense that I have is this is somebody who is so well versed. They know all of the ins and outs of the system. Like I would, the way that I would describe it is for somebody who is immigrating to Canada, rather than going through the immigration process themselves, it could behoove them to connect with an immigration lawyer because that person knows the ins and outs of the system and knows what is being looked for. So I'm seeing somebody who is very similar to that. And they're like, oh, yeah, this thing happens all the time. Everybody gets stopped up on it. It's one of the things that they do. And I'm seeing you being able to bypass this last piece altogether. When I'm asking about timeline and time frame, it feels like it's something that you're hopping on pretty quickly. Like I'm seeing finding this person within the next, week to 2 weeks, and I'm seeing the money being available sometime in April. So it feels like it comes together really quickly. Or if it's not specifically in his pocket to be able to use, you know that it's on the way and you know how it's going to come through, and it takes a lot of the pressure off. But April feels like that's like the magic time when things are happening and coming together. So look for somebody who is going to be able to help navigate around it. All right, we're just going to ask, what does Josie need to know for her son? And we've gone to the mermaids and dolphins. Watch your thoughts. It's important to only think about what you desire and not about what you fear. And I have to laugh because your first words are, I'm deeply concerned. And and this card is saying, watch your thoughts and focus on what you desire, not what you fear. So focus on everything coming together. Find where that fear is living and see how you're able to navigate around it. But I am feeling very confident in the money and the resources that he needs coming through. And as I said, it feels like it's coming in from a couple of different streams or a couple of different places. And it feels like all of them do need to work together, but it is feeling positive overall. Josie, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I just looked at the time. I don't know if it was because I spent a lot of time talking at the beginning or if I'm spending too much time talking with each person, but I'm going to do the readings faster if we can, so that we can get more people in. So hellos to everybody. Thanks so much for joining in. Let me see. So we've got Valerie here. Hi, Valerie. Thanks for joining us. Valerie says, it's been years since we've been able to travel to see my husband's family. Do you see a time frame where it will be safe to go? And as soon as I ask for you, Valerie, I have September coming up as things feeling like they're starting to stabilize. So I have a sense that things are starting to balance out, and there's a sense of comfort and stability and security that is present. And it does feel like there is an opening there. And I am going through the winter, and I'm seeing this same kind of opening, like this open feeling happening. So it feels like there is safety that is moving through like the fall of this year. And then I've got something that feels like it's like wide open as we move into the spring of next year. So I'm kind of wondering if there is a greater sense of stability that is coming up as we move through this year. And I'm not sure if these are reservations that are happening like on your part or possibly on his family's part, around visits that are happening. I am seeing it being open to connect, but I'm kind of wondering if there is something that is holding you guys from making that, from traveling, from making that step, and you're kind of holding off until the spring of next year. But I am seeing it being available to you and feeling okay as soon as September this year, and that you're deciding to carry on possibly a little bit later, but it does feel like there's an opening that's happening. Let's see what's coming up for you, Valerie. We're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Valerie need to know about visiting her husband's family? And the card that we have here is the chakra clearing card. And this is Archangel Metatron, and his message is, call upon us to clear and open your chakras using sacred geometric shapes. I'm also seeing connecting with Archangel Metatron to help you in clearing whatever blocks are in the way that might be having an impact and an effect on you and your husband, and if they would be open to it, to his family as well. Because as I said, I'm seeing the all clear already being there from like a regulation restriction point of view, but it feels like there's something else that is holding you back, and that's where I'm seeing the clearing coming up, is that it has less to do with what you have access to and more to do with what's energetically and emotionally happening for you or possibly another family member. Valerie, it was a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Let me see. Oh, and I'm seeing a couple of messages from Carrie and from Jessica talking about the topic that we talked about earlier. I'm so glad that it resonated for you guys. Thank you. Let me see. Okay, I think this is the next question. Let me see. So this is Margaret. Hi, Margaret. Margaret says, it sounds from another condo unit or units around me seem louder than in the past. Not sure where the sounds are coming from, so I haven't been able to address it. I'm wondering if my sensitivity to sound has increased, if there have been other changes that would account for this, or if there are any deficiency with my condo walls. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have coming up for you, Margaret. So first of all, I am seeing you hearing more. And the way that I'm seeing this is it's almost like gunk has been removed from your ear. Like I'm seeing it as ear candling. I don't think that it's physically that your ears have been cleaned, but it feels like it's more on an energetic level. We have ear chakras, they're secondary in the chakra system, and they kind of exist like above our ear here. So I've got a lot of clearing that's happened in that area. So it feels like you're likely more sensitive than you have been in the past. I fluctuate on whether or not there are deficiencies in the condo walls. I mean, maybe there's a bit of deterioration that's happening there. I'm not sure if like over time insulation that would help to buffer some of the sound. I don't know if that deteriorates. It feels like that's certainly a possibility. But it feels to me that it has a lot to do with your perception or your ability to perceive. the sounds has increased. And what are we asking about this? Like I'm wanting to listen a little more deeply to it, because it feels like part of the reason that you are also able to hear it more is that there's something that you're needing to recognize. And part of me is also wanting to encourage you to get out of the condo a bit more. So I don't know if you found your place in a place where you're needing to restrict your movement, but I'm really wanting to encourage you to get out of your condo a bit more, because it feels like being out in fresh air does help and shift things for you. Because it almost feels like everything is closing in. So yeah, there are a lot of different things that are at play with where you are. Again, your perception or your ability to perceive. That's how I want to say it. Your ability to perceive the sound has increased, which makes it sound louder. Um, Possibly there's some deterioration, but I am wanting to encourage you to get out, because it feels like the time that you are spending in your home feels like it's significant, and that makes you, it kind of puts you in greater tune with what's happening around you, which makes things stand out really strongly. So get out. Lots of fresh air. I'm wanting to encourage you to be around people to the level that you are comfortable with being around people. And I say that only because everybody's at a different place right now, so whatever is comfortable for you, do that. But it feels like there's a need to be out and interacting with others, and that shifts what you're experiencing when you're at home. See, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Margaret around the sounds that she is hearing in her home. The card that we have here is the Overcoming Difficulties card, and this is Archangel Raphael. His message is: the worst is now behind you, and you are surmounting any previous challenges. And I'm seeing this as being really positive, because it's coming up from a couple of levels. One, it's coming up from the level of what you are hearing and what you are able to perceive now. It feels like you are coming into a point in a place where you're better, or where you will be better able to navigate the additional sound that you are hearing. One of the ways that I would relate to this is as my clear cognizance was opening up. So, this is one of the primary ways that I receive messages and information. It is like being flooded with messages and information when I am open. And one of the things that I had to do was I like rules. I made rules. I call it my universal contract of service. And I started to kind of put a bit of regulation on how I receive my messages, when I receive messages, and the volume of the messages that I receive. Because if it was wide open all the time, I literally would go crazy. And it feels like that's part of what might be happening here for you as well. And I'm glad that clicked with that card. So I'm seeing you kind of adjusting the volume of what you are hearing and perceiving. So like this is again like the opening of what you're able to perceive has increased. And kind of like the way that people who have hearing aids, they're able to adjust the volume on it. I'm seeing you adjusting the volume on what you are receiving from an auditory point of view. And it feels like part of what you're doing is asking that extraneous physical stimuli, that it be adjusted so that you aren't perceiving as much in this particular situation. Because it feels like obviously it's still important that you're able to hear, but that your additional perception of clairaudient from a clairaudient point of view has meant that the physical experience that you're having is bigger and it's more overwhelming. So ask that that be regulated so that it is comfortable for you, so that you are able to sleep and you're able to function. But again, also part of that means making sure that you're getting out of your space too. Margaret, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I'm also, just one last thing, connect with Archangel Zadkiel. He's popping up as being able to help and support you with that. All right, we've got Brianna here. Hi, Brianna. Thanks for joining us. Brianna's asking, how do you see my Bali trip going for me? I'm going in September for a month with my best friend, Lexi. I turned 22. Oh, September 22nd, 2022. So this is a big birthday in Bali. I'm nervous about all the COVID requirements. Okay. So when I ask, I'm actually reminded at the very beginning of COVID, I have a client in Bali that I spoke with, and obviously it's been 2 years since I've spoken with her. But at that point, things were really open because they had gone through, they thought that they had gone through it a lot earlier. And when we were shutting down, they were opening wide up. Okay, but let's ask about your specific experience. I am feeling that there are like some hoops that you're going to jump through and that you're going to move through and navigate, but it feels like it's relatively small in the grand scheme of things. So it feels like part of what you're doing is you're taking, a couple of days at the beginning and possibly a couple of days towards the end of your trip where you're needing to focus on like COVID requirements. But other than that, it feels like it's pretty smooth sailing once you're there. So it feels like the challenges are likely coming up around the flights that you are taking, but otherwise, I'm not seeing things being any different than what you will have been experiencing here at home. And if anything, while there, it feels like the restrictions are far fewer than what we're dealing with. So truly, the only challenges feel like they are the beginning and the end of your trip. I suspect that that has to do with the flights. So as long as you are saying, you know what, the end of my trip is going to actually be a couple of days sooner. So if you're leaving on the 30th, actually our trip is ending on the 27th. And what we're going to do is we're going to start moving into preparation. So, we're going to still continue to enjoy aspects of Bali and being there, but our focus now is okay, now we're starting to transition into coming home. And part of that transition is like a couple of hoops that we're going to jump through, but then it's really simple and easy and straightforward. And it feels like the same will be true at the beginning of your trip as well. So as long as you're giving yourself a little extra space, it feels like everything is really smooth sailing. And I'm seeing you really enjoying the time that you're there. There's a lot that you're experiencing and doing, and a lot that you're not doing. And it feels like it's going to be an awesome adventure and trip for you. And definitely a wonderful 22nd birthday. So we're just going to ask what messages are coming up for Brianna for her trip to Bali in September. And the card that we have here is Life Review. This is Archangel Raphael. And that's so funny because it was Raphael who just came up for Margaret. Take inventory of your life and resolve to change or heal anything that is unbalanced. So what I would say is that this is probably referring specifically to your trip. So take a look at where the concerns are. Focus on the things that you can control. So some of the things that you can control are like the things that we mentioned, like instead of seeing your trip ending on the 30th, see your trip ending a couple of days sooner so that that gives you the time, the space, and the energy to focus on integrating back into like coming home. And it feels like that's a big part of what you're doing is if you look at the things that are causing you stress, step back from it and be like, okay, so there's some of this I can control, some of it I can't. The parts of it that I can control are me, my energy, the time and the space that I allow for this to deal with this, and then letting it go when I don't need to hold on to it. Like if there's no point in me spinning my wheels if I know that I'm not going to get anywhere because it's not something I can do anything about. So focus on where you can put your energy so that it's a positive redirection, and then otherwise, this is what I can do, but this is what I can't do. And I'm okay with that. Brianna, you're going to have an amazing time. I hope that you'll definitely come back and let us know how it was. I'm so grateful that you joined us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, we've got Tamara here. Hi, Tamara. Thanks for joining us. Let me see. So Tamara's wondering about her and Juan. I'm meeting him in Colombia next week. Oh, is there romantic potential? And she says, thank you. Okay, so first of all, when I tap into Juan for you, I've got this really great energy that's coming up. I've got a lot of movement that's coming up in my body. I'm feeling very physically expressive. I've got a lot of energy that's kind of coming up in like my heart and my shoulders, and I've got a lot of like sacral energy that's coming up. So I'm going to say that there is definitely sexual chemistry that's happening, certainly on his part. I'm seeing you being equally interested in him as well. He's showing me he's got a lot of energy, and it's feeling kind of fiery. I don't think that he's fiery all the time, but it feels like it's there. It's under the surface. And so I definitely see that there's a lot of potential for passion. One of the things that I'm wanting to kind of keep an eye on is it feels like there could be aspects that are like triggering for the two of you. So just be aware of that. But it feels like that kind of has to do with your two personalities. Um, and I do see how it can be a benefit. I'm reminded of a conversation that I had with a friend years ago, and in her relationship, the way that they created like chemistry and tension was fighting. And I came to realize for myself that humor and laughter is a much better way to invite in chemistry and connection. And it feels like that's one of the things that you're looking at and focusing on in this relationship and connection is what are the things that are creating like the chemistry and the passion and the things that allow the relationship to thrive and to continue and to carry forward. So yeah, I've definitely got a lot of potential. There are a couple of things that I'm, like wondering about, kind of wanting to pay attention to, but it doesn't feel like there are things that necessarily are deal breakers. They are the orange flags that you can work to your benefit, work to the relationship's benefit in addressing them right away. So if there's something that's coming up that's feeling a little bit off for you, address it right off the hop. He's showing me that he will meet you halfway, at least in like recognizing it. The way that you guys communicate with each other might be slightly challenging until you figure out the best way for both of you. So I'm seeing that there's a lot of opportunity for learning here, and that's always great in a relationship too. That both people see that there is opportunity and advantage in learning, and that there's desire to learn from each other and with each other. So yeah, I'm seeing that there's definitely some possibility and some opportunity, and I'm hearing really just enjoying the time that you have together as feeling really important. Let's see what messages are coming up for you, Tamara. This card was the one that was flipping out. So the card that we have here is claircognizance. This is Archangel Uriel, and his message is pay attention to the thoughts and ideas that come to you as they are answered prayers. So claircognizance is one of the four primary ways we receive intuitive messages and information, and it means clear knowing. So thoughts and ideas popping into your head. So really make sure that you pay attention to the thoughts and ideas that come up for you, because they are going to point you in the right direction in terms of, what you need to focus on and what you need to look at. And also just I'm seeing other confirmations coming in that way too. So it's yeah, there are going to be confirmations that are popping up for you, but particularly through the ideas that come into your head. It feels to me like you're going to have a really great time, and this is definitely somebody who is worth meeting and connecting with and seeing what more can happen together. So I'm super excited for you, and I hope you pop back and let us know how it goes. Tamara, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. We'll send some romance angels your way too for your trip. Just pack them along in your suitcase. All right. So we've got Penny here. Hi, Penny. Thanks for joining us. Penny's asking, do you see me selling my home and moving this year? When I ask, I have a bit of a flip flop. It feels to me that if you were to make the choice and the decision to sell and move, it feels like things happen fairly easily. But the flip flop is coming in as to whether or not it's something that you are wanting and that you're ready for. And I'm feeling torn back and forth, because there's part of me that's saying, well, it's time to move for this, and this reason. But I'm seeing the other part saying, but we want to stay for this, and this reason. So this is where I'm torn, because it feels like you haven't completely decided that you are ready to move yet. And so, from that perspective, even if you were to put your house up for sale, it feels like it could block the process. So what's the answer that we have? I'm wanting to put this question off for a little bit. And the timeline and time frame that I'm seeing feels like we're looking at August to October, somewhere in there. So I don't know if there's something really important to you about the home that you're living in right now, that you spend the spring and the summer there. Possibly it's a really significant time for you, or you really enjoy it, or you have some plans where it's more conducive for you to be in your home. But I'm not wanting to rush to make any really big decisions until we get into the later part of this year. And it feels like at that point, then you're ready to make that choice to sell your home. And then once, as I said, once you make the choice and the decision to sell, It feels like it moves fairly quickly. We're going to go to the to the mermaids and dolphins, and I'm actually going to pull 2 quick cards for you, Penny. Oops. So actually, I'm sorry, we might have 3 here for you because I didn't have a chance to ask the question. So the first question is, are you going to be selling and moving this year? And is October the time to make that decision? So the first question that we have is the Stay Optimistic card. And so this was asking whether or not you were going to move. I find it really interesting that in the background, we have the castle that she is looking off towards, and that there's a lot of adventure that's happening there. Your dreams are coming true. Don't quit right before the miracle occurs. So if you are wanting to stay where you are, but you're needing something to shift to allow you to stay, what this card is really saying is to stay optimistic and to stay hopeful about that happening. I'm not 100% sure that you are ready. And when I asked about October, if October was the right time, the card that we had was morning affirmations. Say positive affirmations each morning to open the gates of manifestation. So once you make that choice and decision, stay optimistic about it. Focus on affirmations, on finding the right seller who is wanting to give you the price or more than what you're asking, that you have the perfect place to move to on the other side of the sale of your home. I'm seeing that once you make the decision that you do want to move, that it's fairly straightforward. Penny, it was a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Let me see. I feel like we want to talk to at least one other person. Let me see. Jessica, if you want to ask a specific question, I'm sorry I didn't see this sooner. The question that you've asked is a little open-ended for the way that I do questions here on the show in the evenings. I only have a couple of minutes with each person, and I like to have something specific that I can focus on. And when it's, what do I need to know or what message do I need to have? It's just too open and broad. So if you want to give me a specific question, like an area in your life that you want me to focus on, I would so love to answer a question for you. Let me see. Oh, so we've got Cassandra here. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so Cassandra says, I'm attempting to quit a bad habit, smoking. Congratulations. Can I ask for help from the angels to find my strength? Will I succeed? How can I help my strength overcome this nasty habit? So amazing. Congratulations. And yes, absolutely. You can definitely ask for help. So let me see, where are we going? So Archangel Ariel pops up immediately for me when I ask that question, and she comes through for a couple of reasons. Archangel Ariel's energy is very similar to Archangel Michael's energy. So Archangel Michael has this very strong presence. It's very masculine and it's very, straightforward. It comes with a really strong feeling of power to it. Archangel Ariel has that same energy, but in a more feminine way. And Archangel Ariel, she has your back. She's the girlfriend of all of the archangels. And she's like, of course I can help you. Let's do this. She also helps with strength and courage and support. And she really is passionate about the environment and animals. And from an environmental point of view, the impact that smoking can have on the environment around us, she definitely wants to help and support you in changing this habit. I'm also seeing archangels Raphael and Uriel popping up around you too, with helping with quitting. So Archangel Raphael helps and supports us with our health and well-being, particularly on a physical level. He helps with emotional too, but Archangel Uriel is really great at helping and supporting us with emotional healing. And usually when we have a habit like this that's difficult to break, I mean, with quitting smoking, there are lots of different aspects and elements and components to quitting, because there are lots of different aspects and elements that brought this into our life. I mean, we do have the physical addiction, and we know that cigarettes have been filled with those things specifically to keep people addicted from a money point of view. So, from that perspective, we're definitely connecting with Archangel Raphael, but also Archangel Uriel with the emotional component component. Often people continue to smoke even though they know that it's not what they want, because there is like emotional support and stability that comes up with that. And so what you can do is you can ask Archangel Uriel to help you get to the root cause. What function is this serving for me? What is this supporting for me? That it has been challenging and difficult for me to move forward with it. It feels, oh, I've got a lot of forgiveness that's coming up too. Cassandra, it feels like this is not the first time that you have approached this. And I'm seeing healing happening for you around all of the other times that you may have brought this up and may have tried to do this. And I'm seeing you really focusing on forgiving yourself for that, being gentle with yourself, while also at the same time being strong with yourself too. So there's a lot that you're going to go through. And I'm wanting to call in physical support from family and loved ones around you. It feels like they're also going to be really helpful in this change that you're going through. I feel like there's at least one additional outside physical support that's coming up for you. And so I'm going to something along the lines of like hypnotherapy or energy healing or like psychotherapy. There is some additional component that's coming up around the releasing and the quitting of smoking. But one of the things that I love is you've got an amazing team that's coming up. Like physically here, I see friends and family being really supportive. Energetically, angelically, you've got a lot of support that's coming up from the angels and also in that outside support too. So you've got a really kick-ass team, plus yourself. I mean, my goodness. We are our own best healers. And I'm seeing you really stepping into that role for yourself. And it feels like there's a big mind shift that is happening, that is allowing you, that is helping you and supporting you in making this change for yourself. So there's a lot that's going on. Okay, we're going to ask what messages are coming up for you from the archangels. What do you need to know right now? And oh, I just noticed that you had asked for the yellow deck. That's exactly the one that I went to. We've got the Gifts from God card. This is Archangel Sandalphon. His message is, we angels bring you gifts from your creator. Open your arms to receive. So I see this as being really wonderful and beautiful support on lots of different levels. Archangel Sandalphon is the angel who carries and lifts our prayers up to God, source, universe, creator, whatever your belief system is. He facilitates that for us. And he comes back with the message that, yep, we hear what it is that you're asking for, and we are ready to help and to support you. It is literally like the hug from the universe, going and feeling like, I don't know where to go. I don't know what I have. And universe is like, well, you come here and we hold you and we support you and we love you. That is what that card is. So also pay attention to the signs and the support that is popping up around you, in the same way that our deceased loved ones come through and they show us feathers, or they show us dimes, or they play with our lights. I'm seeing universe and creator doing exactly the same thing for you. So when things are getting when you're drawn to smoke again, even though you've made the decision to quit, look around you and see what support is available to you. What messages are there that are saying you can do this on your own, or you can do this with our help. You don't need to go in that path. And it feels like you're able to breathe into those things. So I'm seeing you approaching this in a different way, and it feels like you are really successful. And that on the other side of it, you're really proud of what you've been able to do. And if there are any slip ups along the way, and for most people making changes of this level, there are. So offer yourself compassion, recognize all of the work that you've done up until this point, and that one slip and one mistake doesn't erase all of the benefit and all of the good that you've already done. So I'm seeing you being very successful, and that the tools that you use are going to be tools that you use and that you teach later. And Cassandra, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, lots of encouragement moving forward. And also, Citrine is popping up for you too. I don't know. Oh, yeah, you did. That was the crystal that you chose. If you can, get a piece of Citrine or a couple of pieces of Citrine and keep them with you. Anytime that you're feeling drawn to have a cigarette, take a look at the emotional, what's happening, what's going on, put that into that Citrine crystal and cycle them out, cycle them through. You might have some rose quartz that you want to use as well. That's all about compassion and love and self-care. Amethyst is a really good one too. So, a couple of tumbled stones in your pocket will be a great resource for you. All right, let me see. We've got Nicole here. Hi, Nicole. Thanks for joining us. Nicole's wondering, am I making the right choice to be doing nursing school and working, but also take time from my family? Is this going to be worth it? Okay, those are awesome questions. So I just want to make sure that I have the question that you're asking right. So you're asking about going to nursing school and working. So having like a really full schedule, which is then going to take time away from your family. Is this the right decision? And is it worth it in the long run? Um, so first of all, I can't tell you what to do, but I can see what's coming up for you and seeing. So first of all, I mean, it is feeling like it's going to be a really intense load, because those are three really big things. Each of those things on their own is a big thing, but when you put them all together, it is definitely a really, it's a big, overwhelming, a lot of stuff. And a big part of what I'm seeing is prioritizing. So prioritizing the things that are most important and making time in a meaningful way wherever you can for family. So, I am seeing you moving forward with this. It feels like there are some adjustments that are going to be made from a work schedule point of view. So I am still seeing you working a lot, but it feels like, say, for example, if you were planning on working 40 hours, it feels like you're taking it down more to like 30. So 75% of perhaps what you were planning to do. And it feels like the reason that you're doing that is for your mental health, well-being, sanity, and also to make sure that you have some energy for the other things that are important too. It feels like, man, you're a pretty big rock star. I'm pretty impressed with like the drive that you have, and you're also making time for everything else. It feels like part of the way that you are going to be able to do this is you're coming up with a plan on a family level. How are we taking care of family? It does feel like you have children that you are caring for and concerned about. I have things like food, which helps and supports people's moods. And it feels like you've got a really solid plan around how you're going to accomplish things, how you're going to make sure that you do fit in the things that are important. And I am seeing a lot of compassion that's coming up from family too. It feels like the reason that you're doing this is to support yourself, to support your family, and you're looking at the bigger long-term goal. And it feels like the more that you're able to see that long-term goal, the easier it is to create those balances. I am feeling this being something that is worthwhile for you in the long run. And I just have to say, I have such a huge appreciation for all of our healthcare workers and especially our nurses. And so I just want to thank you for what you're doing because you're not only benefiting your family, but you're benefiting society as a whole. And that's pretty amazing. Um, so yeah, it does feel like it is going to be worthwhile in the long run. But I'm wanting to encourage you to take stuff off of your plate where you can. So if it's financially possible for you to cut down some of the work hours, please take a look at doing that. And it feels like you are also managing your expectations around your course requirements too. If there is any possibility for you to take one of the courses off, like often a full course load is 4 or 5 courses, if it's at all possible, take one off and maybe do a little bit longer if you can. But if not, I do still see you being incredibly successful with what you're doing. Where are we going? Did you ask for? No, you didn't ask for a specific card deck. We're gonna go to the pardon me, the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just gonna see what messages are coming up for you, Nicole, around. I'm gonna say around balance, because that's really what this is coming down to. How do I balance all of this and still maintain myself? Yes. Yes is the card that we have. Your intuition is correct. Take action accordingly. I do want to take a step back. I mean, to me, this is coming up as yes for everything that we've said. But I want to encourage you to listen to and to trust your intuition as well. I have a wonderful exercise on my website, heavenlymessenger.com. It's in the blog post sections. It's called Trying on a Decision. I'd encourage you to take a look at that and to use that and to see how it feels in your body to make a yes, to go ahead with this, and then to make a no. It will be very clear and very apparent for you what is in your best and highest good now. But this is a card that's all about encouraging you to listen to and to trust your intuition. So even though I've said here that I am seeing you being able to work it out and I'm seeing it being worthwhile in the long run and all of the things that I've said, I want to really encourage you to listen to your own intuition and to what's coming up for you, because at the end of the day, you know you best and know what is in your best and highest good. And this card also is indicating that you're really in connection with what feels right for you. So if you're getting lots of no messages, listen to that. But if you're getting lots of yes messages with just a bit of fear that's coming up around how it's all going to work out, then it's a yes. Nicole, I'm so grateful that you joined us this evening. Thank you so much for popping on. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let me see. So we've got Carrie here. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for joining us. Carrie's asked for the messages from your angels. Oh, hold on. You've said archangels. There are two different. Well, we're going to use the green deck for you, Carrie, because that's kind of the name of two different decks that you've put together. So let me see. Okay, so Carrie is asking about the next steps moving forward with her energy. Let's take a look and see what we have coming up. So first of all, as soon as I tap in, everything feels like it's a bit of a struggle. Like I feel like I've got somebody who is like literally holding me back. It's like when you have a child and they have like their arms around a leg and you've got two kids and you're like, I have to pull this kid forward, I have to pull this kid forward. That's kind of what energy is feeling like right now. And I'm wanting to look for ways to release those things that are heavy, that are holding you back. And just to be clear, I'm not seeing these being kids specifically. That's just the imagery that was coming into my head to describe what is happening for you with moving forward and why it is challenging to do that. It's because you've got things that are literally holding you back and pulling you back. And what I'm seeing you doing is addressing them. And it feels like you're focusing on one thing at a time. And I'm seeing you reaching down and you are unhooking the fingers and the hands on the one kid and pushing that aside, and then the hands on the other kid and pushing that aside. And the way that you are dealing with things and addressing them, they are not like glomming back on the way that sometimes kids can when they're playing. It's like once you address that thing, it's taken care of. But the important part is not to try to do both at the same time. Like you're not bending down and you're not using this hand to take the kid off on this side while you're using this hand to take the kid off on the other side. No, you're using both of your hands. So you're using all of your hand resources to focus on one kid on one leg. And then you use all of the remaining hand resources and you're using that on the other side, on the other kid, on the other leg. So rather than splitting your energy and your attention to address a lot of different things, focus on one thing at a time and address that. And it feels like that's been part of the challenge or part of the difficulty, is that I'm feeling like I'm being bombarded. Everything is coming at me from all sorts of different directions. And I'm seeing you saying, nope, this is what I'm dealing with first. And then I'm going to deal with this. And then I'm going to deal with this. And then I'm going to deal with this. And if you address it in this way, suddenly, like if you had 6 things that you needed to deal with, dealing with this one thing here means that, oh, that 6th thing kind of falls off. So you deal with one thing, but you get rid of 2 things. And now you only have 4 things left instead of 5. So that was just a really quick little math lesson for you there, but free of charge. So yeah, if you're able to focus on things just one at a time, then you're able to fully address them to get to the bottom of it, rather than splitting your energy between a lot of different things and not accomplishing everything that you could. So that is what feels like it makes the difference and allows you to start moving forward. So we're going to go to the messages from your angels, and we're just going to ask. So the card that we have coming up for you is the crystal card. And I just have to laugh because I know Carrie quite well, and she is definitely a crystal person. Carrie makes the most amazing crystal jewelry. And I know that she's a crystal person. So I have to laugh that crystal is the card that came up for her. Have faith and hope because there is something positive and new on the horizon that you just can't see yet. So this is definitely a card of faith, and basically what it's saying is it's recognizing that things are really challenging right now. There's a lot that's going on, and it can be really difficult to see like what is on the other side of the challenges that you are dealing with right now, or the energy that you're experiencing right now, or the kids that are holding you back as you're trying to move forward, and all of the different things that are coming at you can be really difficult to see that. But what this card is saying is, yes, we recognize that it's a difficult time and a difficult space and a difficult situation, but things are getting better. So continue to have faith, continue to have hope, and continue to trust. And in addition to that, look for the places in the pockets where hope is already growing in your life and focus on those things. Because the more that you focus on the places where where hope rather is already growing, then suddenly you start to see more hope and more growth in other ways, and then you're starting to swing and you're building momentum and you're moving through and you're navigating. So things are getting better, and it feels like part of that has to do with what you're doing. Part of it has to do with the things that you are choosing to focus on, because you're a pretty powerful manifester in what you're able to do. So focus on what you are wanting to create rather than what you don't want. That's really significant and important. And then things keep moving forward. Carrie, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. You guys, we have come to the end of tonight's show. I am so incredibly grateful for everybody who has taken time to be with me here today, and to everybody who has asked questions. I am going to make sure that I don't talk as much at the beginning so that I'm able to get to more questions in the hour time frame that we usually choose. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. If you'd like to connect for your own personal reading, you can do so at bookingwitherin.com. I have taken this week off to create the videos for my online school. So I am booking into the end of next week and the following week. So if you're thinking about a reading, now is a great time to hop on and to book, so that you can get in at the earliest possible time. I hope that you have a fabulous week. I'm looking forward to seeing you next week. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and we'll see you soon.